Hello students, good morning. Hello students, good morning. Now we started our online study. Already you know according to the present situations. So we had chosen this alternative method of the study so that there should not be any loss in our scoring or covering the syllabus. So now today we are starting with the chemistry lesson number 1, periodic table and its periodic properties. We already knowing the basic pure substances in the chemistry are the elements. How we can define them? We can define them that elements are the pure substance which are made up of the same types of atoms. Now, as these are the basic pure substances, their systematic study is very necessary for us. The day by day, as the time passed, the science has started the many discoveries of the elements. The number of elements increased. So the scientists, they realized the need of classification of the element so that we can study them in a very systematic way so that we can apply them in a best way. So for this classification, different scientists given the different trials that already we had studied in the 9th class. In our previous class, in the lesson of the periodic table, we studied. Let me revise this. The first trial was given by the scientist Daubigny. He given his classification in the form of the triads. It mean the group of the 3 elements. And he had started his classification in such a way that the average of atomic mass of extreme 2 elements will be equal to the approximately atomic mass of the middle elements. These 3 elements will be similar in their properties. This group of the 3 elements were known as a triad. Now let me take one example. Calcium, strontium and barium. Calcium atomic mass 40, strontium atomic mass 88, barium atomic mass 137. When we will take the average of atomic mass of the calcium and the barium, then it will be approximately equal to the atomic mass of the strontium. In the similar way, we can consider another example also. The group of the 3 elements like chlorine, bromine and iodine. Chlorine atomic mass 35, bromine 80, iodine 127. When we will take the average of atomic mass of a chlorine and iodine, it will be approximately equal to the atomic mass of a bromine. But this idea was already we knowing it. This idea was not applicable for all the elements known at the time. So it was ruled out, discarded, cancelled. The second trial was given by the Newland. This classification was known as the Newland's octave because he had grouped the elements in the form of the 8. He arranged the elements in the increasing order of atomic masses in such a way that the first element, starting from any element, the first element when it will comes to its 8th element, their properties will be similar. So the properties of the first element will be resemble with the properties of the 8th element. That's why this classification was known as the octave. This classification was very applicable for the element of the less atomic masses like up to the calcium, which were known as a light element. So after that, as the element's atomic masses increases, this octave classification was not applicable. Also, after the discovery of the noble gas elements, this did not. That's why this classification was ruled out, cancelled out again. The third trial was given by the Mendeleev. He was the first scientist who had introduced the classification in the form of the table, which was known as a periodic table. All the 63 elements known at that time was included in the table, that is periodic table. It was the first very best classification that time that within a one table all the 63 elements were accommodated. He made the periodic table by the help of the vertical columns and horizontal rows. Vertical wall columns he called them as the groups. Horizontal rows were called as the periods. For his periodic table, he also given a one periodic law which was known that time Mendeleev's periodic table law. According to this law, the physical and the chemical properties of elements are the periodic function of their atomic masses. He also given the prediction for the new elements which were discovered later. But he was failed to give the exact position of the few elements and also of the isotope. So, this classification was further ruled out. After that, the new classification was given by the Moseley. A new modern periodic table was made by the Henry Moseley. He changed the base of the classification from the atomic mass to atomic number. As we already knowing it, atomic number is nothing but the number of electron present in the orbit of the atom. It is also known as a number of protons present in the nucleus of the atom. The number of valence electron present in the valence shell are responsible for the chemical and physical properties of that element. That's why the atomic number is the more fundamental property than the atomic mass. So Henry Moseley changed the basis of the classification from atomic mass to atomic number. For his periodic table, he also given a new modern periodic law, which was stated as the properties of elements are the periodic function of their atomic number. Then the extended long form of periodic table was suggested by the Niels Bohr, which is a today's periodic table that we are studying. It is known as long extended form of the periodic table. To understand the periodic table, let me start its silent features. The silent features of the periodic table are as follows, that we can divide it into two parts, groups and the periods. Now we start with the groups. The vertical column in the periodic table are known as groups. These groups accommodate the elements which have the same number of valence electrons. Why? Because the elements which have the same number of valence electrons, these elements have the same property. It means a group will be always accommodate the elements which are having the same properties. There are total 18 groups in the periodic table. Now let me study in detail group number 1, which is a first group. The name of this element is alkali metal except hydrogen. Except hydrogen, other elements, as they are forming the strong alkali with the water, that's why the name of this group is alkali metals. The group number 2, which is the second A group, is known as alkaline earth metal. From the group number 3 to 12, the number of total 10 groups, these are the total 10 groups together, are known as transition elements. Their arrangement is as follows: 3rd B, 4th B, 5th B, 6th B, 7th B, 3 column for the 8th group, then the 1st B and 2nd B. All these elements of these 10 groups, they are known as transition elements or transition metals. Transition metals because they are metallic in nature. The transition word, it means they have the two outermost shell incomplete. That's why they are known as transition elements. Now, 13th group is the 3rd A group. Its name is as boron family because its first element is boron. 14th group is a 4th A, that is a carbon family, as the first element is carbon. 15th group, 5th A, is a nitrogen family, as this group start with the nitrogen. 16th group, 6th A, that is known as oxygen family, as this group start with the oxygen. The 6th group elements are also known as chalcogen because the elements of these groups are the ore former. They are belonging to the ores of the different compound, different elements. That's why they are also known as the chalcogen. 7th A group that are known as halogens. That means salt former. These elements in the nature are exist as salts. Thus, as they are the salt former, salt generator, they are known as halogens. 18th group. These elements are known as, this group is known as zero group because the elements of these group are having the stable electronic configuration. That is, they have the 8 electron in their last valence shell. Because of that, their valency is 0. That's why the name of this group is zero group. The elements of these groups are also known as inert element because elements of this group they are hardly combined with the other compound. They are chemically inert. Thus, they are known as inert element. Now, group number 1 to 13, 14, 15, 16 and 17. They are known as normal elements, representative elements because these elements have only last one shell as an incomplete shell. Now we have to be remember all the ideas and the names and allotted group names and the numbers. In exams, it can be asked as either the name the following or either as a fill in the blanks. Like example, write the name of the first group. Its name is alkali matter. The name of 7th group is a halogen. In such a way, the name the following question can be asked. Also can be asked as a fill in the blanks that 6th group of elements belongs to the dash family, that is oxygen family. So this complete total arrangement with their names and numbering should memorize thoroughly, completely. Now next we move for the second silent feature of the periodic table, that is the periods. The horizontal rows in the periodic table are known as periods. There are total 7 horizontal rows. It means there are the total 7 period in the periodic table. The number of shell in an atom of element will be equal to number of periods. The number of a shell in an atom of an element will be equal to the number of period. If any element have 3 shells, it means that element will be belongs to the 3rd period. Now let me tabulize, or we will just start the part of the period. The first period, it contain only 2 elements, that is atomic number 1 hydrogen, atomic number 2 helium. These 2 elements belongs to the first period. Because of this, it is known as the shortest period. Second period and the third period elements are the 8 elements. So these together, these 2 periods, second period and the third period, they are known as short period. The elements of second period start with the atomic number 3 lithium up to the atomic number neon 10. Third period elements start with the atomic number 11 of a sodium up to the argon atomic number 18. Now the fourth and fifth period, these 2 periods are containing the 18 elements. That's why they are called as long periods. The elements of the fourth period start with the atomic number 19 potassium up to the krypton 36. Elements of the fifth period start with the rubidium 37 to xenon 54. Sixth period element start with the atomic number 55 up to the 86 radon. This is the one period containing the maximum 32 elements in it. That's why this period is called as the longest period. The seventh period. The elements of the seventh period start with the francium 87. The elements which are belongs to the seventh period, they are still under the study. That's why this period is known as incomplete period. This complete tabulation about the period, we have to be remember it because it is important for the exams. It can be asked as a give reason also. For example, sixth period is called as the longest period. Why? Because it contains the maximum 32 elements. Also can be asked, name the following. Name the shortest period, that is the first period. Name the long periods, that is the fourth and fifth period. This way, the study of this period and their names and the number of elements belongs to that are very important for the exams. Also, we have to remember their atomic numbers, the element of the starting and end. Like example, second period, start with the lithium 3rd to neon 10. Period fifth, it start with the rubidium 37 to xenon 54. Now we already knowing it, the number of a shell in an atom will be equal to the number of the period. Now also we have to remember the thing that there are the two series just below the periodic table. One is as a lanthanoid series and second is as a actinoid series. These two series are placed below the periodic table because these two series are containing the 14 element in them. These 14 elements are not having placed in the main periodic table. That's why they are placed below the table. Now the position of lanthanoid series is sixth period, third B group. Actinide series have the position 7th period, 3rd B group. So now we complete our this introductory part of the silent features of periodic table. There are the two parts, groups and the periods. Groups are the vertical columns and the periods are the horizontal rows. Their complete names and their number of elements, all these completely we have to memorize it for the examination. So learn thoroughly and we continue this in the next part of the next period.